Welcome back to Roundtable, I'm Retro Nemo, and if you thought M. Night Shyamalan's adaptation of The Last Airbender ruined enough already, I've got some pretty big news for you. Avatar The Last Airbender, as you all know, is one of Nickelodeon's most iconic series, beloved by many, and it's widely considered by everyone to be an example of a perfect television series. A great contribution to its series legacy is its 3-season structure, having a solid beginning, middle, and end planned out from the very beginning. But this wasn't always the case. At one point, we were actually close to getting a 4th season of Avatar. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck, there's no possible way, they fit this perfectly into 3 seasons. The story was laid out for 3 seasons, it makes sense, why are you lying? Well, I'm not making this up, this all comes from one of the head writers of Avatar, Aaron Ehasz. He recently took to Twitter to express his remorse for not being able to do more with Azula's character, with her overall arc, with her development, leaving her as a villain and not giving her redemption or anything. And yes, this was on April Fool's Day, but he clarified to say that it was just really bad timing and this wasn't an April Fool's Day joke. He went on to say, I was indebted for Azula to have a redemption arc in the story of Avatar The Last Airbender. Longer and far more complicated than Zuko's. She had not bottomed in the end of season 3, she had further to go. At the deepest moment in her own abyss, she would have found Zuko. Despite all that, her brother Zuko would be there for her, believing in her, sticking by her, doing his best to understand and help her, and help hold her pain that she can no longer hold alone. Zuko, patient, forgiving, and unconditionally loving, all strengths he gained from Uncle Iroh. This would have been a heartwarming addition that sounds like it ended up on the cutting room floor, but things got deeper and went on to a discussion on April 2nd, so yeah, this definitely wasn't a joke. It turns out, they originally intended for Avatar to receive a 4th season. As he exchanged with fans on Twitter, Ehasz revealed the following. I always believed there would be a season 4. Truthfully, there was a moment in time when we all thought that we would do a season 4 of Avatar The Last Airbender. Then along came M. Night, which, pause real quick, this makes it sound like he's some villain. Like there, everything was going great, and then came M. Night. He walks in all evil, he's like, you guys want to do 4 seasons, huh? But that's not the case, actually. He went on to clarify, though to be clear, M. Night wanted us to do a 4th season, but Mike and Brian wanted to focus on the movie. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I know the idea of a 4th season sounds enticing, but as opposed to a theatrical release of a movie directed by a famous director, hindsight's 2020 now, but back then, to turn that down would be pretty dumb. I can see why they made the move they did. He goes on to say further, they originally planned on 3. We discussed a 4th and it seemed like we were going to do it. Then M. Night came and they reverted to the original plan. That's what happened. So it seems like the original plan at the pitch Bible was 3 seasons, but as the series went on, they decided they wanted to do 4 and actually started planning for it, which is pretty crazy. It makes sense, the show was massively popular, the story was getting more complicated, they were adding more and more stuff. I mean, there are 4 elements in 3 seasons. The pattern was definitely cut before it could finish, it feels like. I mean, that's why we got Korra, but I'll talk more about that later. But there you have it. We would have gotten more Avatar The Last Airbender content if the live-action film never took place. Not because Nick or M. Night forbid a 4th season, or because of a budget issue, but because the creators wanted to focus all their time and energy into the movie, which we saw how that turned out. I mean, again, hindsight's 2020, guys. Well, at first, this seems like just a really horrible thing that makes the M. Night adaptation seem worse. This probably worked out for the better of the series, all things considered. Sozin's comment was the perfect finale of Avatar. While realistically, yes, a lot of things went unresolved, only to be explored later, like Zuko's mom or Azula's mental state, it was kind of cool leaving that open-ended to the viewer's interpretation until we got canon answers. Now, it's entirely possible a 4th season would have resulted in those answers being vastly different than the final product, as evident by these tweets here, because Azula never got a redemption arc in the comics, despite her character being developed further. But at the same time, we probably would have seen season 4 with a forced villain, just for the sake of having a villain, or seeing Azula rise up as the final villain, which would have made some sense, but ultimately, could they have dragged that out over a 20-episode season? Seeing her thrashing around all tied up at the end of the series is just so satisfying to see a character so evil that's done so many bad things just completely losing it. There's a part of me that would have wanted a redemption arc, but if we saw her get out and then rise up to be a villain again, it just would have been annoying. It's also entirely possible we could have seen factions break out in the Fire Nation. Of those who are resisting change and target Team Avatar, things won't be sunshine and lollipops just because Ozai was defeated. That's too simple for the series. Yet, it would have been impossible for any possible continuation to not cheapen the ending of Sozin's comment. It was amazing having this 2-hour finale where Aang embraces the Avatar, discovers his ability to move bending, which by the way, would have completely downplayed the threat of any other bending antagonist. If we had gotten all of Sozin's comment and then they just tried to pick back up for one more season, it just would have felt ultimately unsatisfying. But even though this is the right decision, who knows what we could have gotten? What would have happened to Aang and Katara's relationship on screen? Maybe we could have gotten the rise of Cabbage Corp. Maybe Toph would find love. I don't know. But with the season 4, who knows how different Legend of Korra would be, or if there would have been a Legend of Korra at all. Right now, all of Avatar fits together just so nicely and so perfectly. Again, having 3 seasons allowed the first season of Korra to have air, the fact that they made the villain a non-bender, the fact that they ultimately decided to make a spin-off with a new Avatar, all of this could have been different if they had done a 4th season of the show. And Avatar's perfect legacy could have been tarnished by an unnecessary 4th season that kind of just dragged the show on. Plus, despite this live action movie being horrible, we got some laughs out of it. It's a total meme. Ultimately, this is a win-win, even if it doesn't feel like it. It's not like we never saw any Avatar stuff again. Like I said, we have the comics to continue the story, even though it may be a different story they intended. And not to mention, besides Korra, we are getting a live action recreation on Netflix of the original series. Maybe that'll have 4 seasons. Who knows, guys? But as always, I want to get your thoughts. Glad Avatar didn't have a season 3. Would you want more episodes? Let us know in those comments down below. If you want to consider helping out the Roundtable, you can become a member of the channel or support us on Patreon. There you can get exclusive access to scripts and avatars. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the Roundtable to stay in the loop with all things animation, guys. I'm Retro Nemo. This is an Avatar update video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.